One of the aspects of leadership that are perpetual, and that is change and managing change. There are 4 levels of change, beginning with knowledge. Knowledge can be provided in instruction and in changing the information base that we have given to people. A second level of change is the issue of attitude. What's our attitude towards the world as we see it around that subject? A third level is behavior. When our knowledge has changed and our attitude has changed, if that's as far as it goes, we've really changed nothing, unless change influences behavior. And when behavior changes on an individual level, then it can rise to the 4th level of change, and that would be culture change, where we change the world around us by that which we model and that which we teach others. Another aspect of change is there are some dynamics of change that we've identified. And the first one of these is that change, when it's truly change, is awkward. If you're trying a new golf swing or you're trying to learn something different, if it's true change, you're going to feel uncomfortable at a given point in time. And it will be for those people as well that you ask to change. Now, an antidote to that awkwardness is to give people some context for it as to the reason why, showing them where we're headed, where we are, and what's expected. A second dynamic of change is you start to feel alone, like no one understands what this is going to do for you or do to you. And that issue of loneliness is something we need to break through. And the antidote to that is give people a time and an opportunity to express it, that we can either mourn the past that we're leaving or express the uncomfortable factors that are engaged in the change that we're doing right now. A third dynamic of change is people usually go first to what they're going to have to give up as opposed to what they're going to gain. And there's an opportunity that we need to create for them as an antidote to that, and as some celebration of the past, but as a prelude to tomorrow, to move where we want to go together. And that's the job of a leader, to paint that vision. A fourth dynamic of change is that people can just take so much change at any one time. People are going to have a threshold upon which they're not going to follow you any further. So being discreet and being strategic about how much change you infuse in people at a given point in time is important as a dynamic, whether they'll continue to work with you. Jesus didn't tell everyone everything at the beginning. They couldn't handle it all. But what he did was, over a period of time, reveal himself, reveal his message, and reveal what was going to happen as their maturity allowed them to accept more and their trust in him allowed them to accept more. A fifth dynamic of change is people don't believe they have enough resources. And it's based on what they control in the moment. And really the antidote to that is to look out and say, in community, there are resources way beyond which I can control that are available to me. And God told us that we have everything in the spiritual realms to do anything that he would ask us to do. A sixth element is that people are at different levels of readiness for change. There are those people that are so rounded in the past that it's hard for them in that moment to give up change. There are early adopters, other people who are excited about change and willing to do it in a moment's notice. The antidote to that is to give some level of grace to those who are having a difficulty with change. But a key to it is allowing for that to happen, but not to stop us. And then the last and the seventh thing is probably the most insidious and interesting thing about change. And that is, if you don't keep the pressure on, then people will revert back to where they were. There's a little story I talk about a tugboat. I was on an aircraft carrier in the Navy, not recently, but a long time ago, watching tugboats. And their change strategy was never to rev up their engines and to go 2,000 yards away and slam into the front of an aircraft carrier with an attempt to change its direction, to come alongside and exert pressure over a long period of time, and eventually they would turn an aircraft carrier. It's that same dynamic we have to be constant about and patient enough to allow for change to happen over time by the persistence of our vision and the persistence of our passion for the change that we're seeking to guide others into. So as we understand and come to deal with the levels of change that we've just gone through, we'll be able to lead others in a way that change will happen over time and will be long-lasting. And it will be also the way in which we have to deal with ourselves as we seek to transform our own leadership and relationships.